Hi, thanks for joining. For the next several minutes, we're going to walk through an introduction to Docker. From an agenda perspective, we're first going to talk about why is Docker important. In other words, why are we talking about it here? Why is it relevant to you? The second item will be what is Docker? Kind of giving initially a non-technical metaphor as to what is Docker. And then thirdly, how do I get Docker? What is going to be needed for it to be deployed? What are the different options? And then lastly, where can I learn more? This 5 to 6 minutes webinar will just touch upon some key topics, but you'll likely want to ask more questions. Let's get started. So why Docker? Why are we having this conversation? There's lots of really cool, great reasons about why Docker is relevant. I'm going to really boil it down for this conversation into two key areas. Number one, containers. The whole container market is extremely hot right now. Nearly every enterprise software company and every enterprise customer is either leveraging Docker or containers today or considering it. So Docker is not the only container on the market. It is one of the leading, if not leading, container technologies on the market. Some of you may be asking, what are containers? And we'll definitely be covering that in a few moments. But for now, just be rest assured that it's hot, relevant technology. And then secondly, IBM is leveraging Docker for two of their newer products for on-premise solutions. Those two products currently are Planning Analytics Workspace, the local version of it, and then DashDB local. Each one of these have a cloud equivalent. But for this discussion, and this is about the local installation and where it is a requirement to leverage Docker. Let's start off with really a non-technical introduction. We roll back the clock to the 1970s, to when there were some pretty significant challenges with shipping various products around the country and globe. If you take a look at this picture, you notice there's various different types of things that could be shipped on the top. So it could be cars, could be crates, could be computers, servers, barrels of wine, spices, coffee, piano. All of these things really, in the past had their own unique ways of being shipped. And you also had to worry about isolation. So whether you put coffee next to spices, would it impact the taste or the smell? Delicate or toxic items, could they be placed on other items? Because it was really difficult to make sure that there wasn't any issues. And then down below, depending on which type of vehicle or which type of apparatus that it would be shipped in, it might need yet a different container. So this created quite a challenge in the world of logistics. So this next image does a really good job of kind of articulating the challenge. You have all the different types of things you may like to ship. And then down below you have all the different modes in which things could be shipped. It could be by rail, it could be by boat. How does the boat gonna load it? It could be by truck. So lots of different ways these items could be shipped. So really, the same type of challenges exist today for software. You have lots of different types of software that could be written in different codes, different purposes. Whether it's a website, a database, some background process, an API, lots of different purposes and uses and types of software. And then for each of the different software types, there's places it could be deployed. It could be deployed on-premise, it could be up in a public cloud, it could be for dev, test, or prod, perhaps a disaster recovery environment, so lots of different places it could be deployed. So once again, we have this problem of lots of different types of software for lots of different reasons, and then lots of places that it would need to go, or you'd like it to go. And so you'd have to come up with a matrix once again. And some of the delivery mechanisms could be a VM, it could be a CloudFormation script, it could be a Chef script, a Puppet script. So lots of different ways that it could get there. So that's where Docker comes in. So Docker is a container. It's really It's an engine that enables any payload to be encapsulated as a lightweight, portable, self-sufficient container. And you can take this container and deploy it to a variety of different environments, really with the same basic steps, whether that's inside of a VM, on a QA server, a production server, public cloud, on their laptop, whatever it might be, making it very, very simple. This is where Docker can help. It can take any type of code or software and help deploy it to any type of device with very little effort, helping take the really complex matrix into a much more palatable solution. All right, so you're probably now just starting to get an understanding for Docker. And the next question that typically comes up is, why not just use virtual machines? Or what's the difference between Docker and a VM? So if you look here on this image, on the left is an example of a VM environment, where you'd have a server with a hypervisor, and then you'd have a number of VMs sitting inside of there. And it might be multiple servers with multiple VMs, and each VM having their own guest operating system. So it could be redundant files, etc. And within each operating system, the applications would reside within there. So that has been proven to be very effective. The challenge is it takes up a lot of extra space because you have redundant files from the operating systems and patches, etc. And then on top of it, there is still significant overhead that exists within the hypervisors. So it isn't really a lightweight container. So if we take a look on the right, and this is the difference with a Docker environment. You still have a server, and you have a host OS that's running on there, likely a Linux environment. You have a Docker that's been installed, the Docker engine, and then you have one or many different Docker containers deployed upon there. The beauty of Docker is that it's actually sharing the binaries and the libraries of the host operating system. It only needs to have inside of it the delta or the differences inside of there. So you can install multiple Docker containers or just one, and it can be very, very easy to deploy and maintain. And that is, you want to move from one machine to another. It's very portable and easy to do. All right, so what's needed for planning analytics now that we have a foundational knowledge of Docker? So in order to use Planning Analytics Workspace, you simply need to have Docker Engine, and that's needed to install PA Workspace. And there's really two options for that. You can purchase the commercially supported Docker Engine directly from Docker. They offer a support agreement, and there's two different types. There is a business day support, so think of that as kind of business hours, Monday to 9 to 6 local time, and that's $1,000 per instance per year. And then they have a 24/7, 365 days a year. That's $2,000 per instance, and that's called enterprise support. And then the second option is leveraging the free open source Docker engine. So you have either one of those options that you can leverage. With the second one, if you would ever face an issue, you would need to do Google searches, post in forums, etc., read the documentation. With the first one, you have someone you could call in for support. So at this point, hopefully we've answered a lot of questions, yet at the same time, you probably have some follow-up questions. So where can you learn more? I hate to say it. It sounds like a cliche, but Google can be your best friend in this area. Docker being an open source, community-led effort, just by merely typing in "what is Docker," you'll come back with a huge listing of videos up on YouTube to third-party documents like ZDNet, etc., tutorials. There's everything from trying to gain information from a summary point of view down to a tutorial or installing it, configuring it point of view. So there's tons of information out there. The other area is feel free to give us a call here at eCapital. We're very familiar with Docker and excited to help you through the journey and get started. So thanks. Have a great day.